VHS. We're diving deep in cheesy flicks. Yeah, we're on a vintage quest. Low reviews but high on laughs. Let's give these films a cheer. The cult classics, flops and duds, there are topics this year. We're the Ejectables, rolling back the years, celebrating movies that no one else cheers. From backhand juice to epic fails, we say it's all good. We're the Ejectables, yeah, we're misunderstood.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Ejectables. This is the show where movie enthusiasts Bill, Joe, and Ian join forces with a weekly rotating guest to celebrate movies that we feel have been unfairly panned by the critics or unjustly forgotten and neglected by the audiences. This week's guest is Will. Will, please tell us about yourself. Welcome.
Thank you. What a nice welcome. I have been a friend of Bill for, I think let's just say a long time, since college. I won't date anything beyond that.
82.
And in college, I was definitely very much a film enthusiast. Bill and I would go to movies a lot together. And I was an actor for a while. Yeah. And then I was an actor in New York City for a long time and then stopped doing that because it just was not something that paid actual money anymore.
Overrated.
It's overrated. Yeah.
Nice.
Now I'm a cybersecurity manager, which is a clean trajectory from acting. And every day I'm still acting, baby. Every day.
That's the spirit.
So that's it. But I love movies. I love this podcast. And thank you for having me.
And we love you. We love you.
I love you newly, even though I didn't know you back in school, but I'm happy you're here. And as a fellow movie enthusiast, welcome.
Thank you.
So would you like to talk about what movie you did for us this week?
Absolutely. So I picked the movie Miami Blues, starring Alec Baldwin and Jennifer Jason Leigh and Fred Ward. And this is one of my very favorite movies. I saw it at an incredibly inappropriate period in my life. I think I was maybe 12 or 13 years old.
Oh, wow.
Will, I could beat you. I saw this in the theater with my dad, freshman year of high school. I'm still traumatized.
That's so
I
great.
was 18. I saw it with my mom probably, but yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome. With your mom. Yeah, that's exactly how you want it. And I'd never seen a movie like it. I hadn't really seen Alec Baldwin in anything yet. I hadn't seen Hunt for Red October yet. Mm-hmm. I had seen Jennifer Jason Leigh, maybe, I don't remember. And Fred Ward, I'd never come across at all. So It was completely new. I didn't know you could make movies like this that were just so dark and violent, but funny at the same time. Watching it again, and I've watched it, I don't know, 50 times over the years, but it almost feels kind of proto Tarantino to me. Totally. It's realizing that like Jonathan Demme had such an artistic kind of contribution to this in terms of he's an executive, he's one of the producers. I think he was originally slated to direct it. It has something wild DNA in it.
Yeah.
It's
the same.
Same cinematographer. You got Tak Fujimoto, who did all of Demme's stuff. So it's just in this weird zone of the late 80s and early 90s. Things are just about to get a lot more interesting. And this movie, I feel like, is almost a canary in the coal mine.
It is ahead of its time for sure.
Yeah.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about the plot generally, just to give them an idea?
Sure.
Of what we're talking about?
The movie just takes off with Junior, played by Alec Baldwin. He's just arriving in a plane. You see him faking an ID on the plane. He's clearly not who he's about to say he is. He's replacing this man's photo with his own on a driver's license. He lands. He bumps into a Hare Krishna. He breaks the guy's finger and inadvertently kills him. I don't tell me when to stop because I don't want to give away too many spoilers. But
we're just gonna generally like he's a petty thief out of just straight out of jail or something, right?
Junior seems like he's out of prison, and he just goes on this endless crime spree. But on the way, he has a lot of fun, and he meets Jennifer Jason Leigh, who is this extremely sweet, relatively naive prostitute / college student. They sort of fall in something like love. At least that's probably what she's hoping for. Then he bumps into Fred Ward, who's this incredibly grizzled detective who's living the most pathetic life imaginable. He lives in this tiny little apartment that's just dirty and gross. He's borrowing like $15 off his blind snitch in the police station. He's just so grubby and sad. But it does seem like he's a pretty good detective, and he's on to Junior. And then their interaction turns into a big downfall for Fred Ward, but Fred Ward makes his comeback. And along the way, my favorite part of the movie is that Junior commits all these crimes. He kills people. He ends up impersonating a cop for a long time. Once he gets
such a good scene.
He gets Fred Ward's badge, and he becomes Fred Ward, named Mosley, which is great because it's a little bit of a Midnight Run cousin there. And then he goes on this, kind of crime spree impersonating a cop, and everything's going great for Junior until he makes one mistake, which is that he tries to do the right thing. And this is where everything starts to go downhill for Junior.
With a can of tomato sauce.
Exactly. It's not in his nature to do the right thing. So the laws of nature work against him. He almost seems to recognize this. And then the movie just goes, and Fred Ward makes his move.
Oh, God, it's so gross. My question is, do you think that the Jennifer Jason Leigh character maybe inspired Quentin Tarantino to write Patricia Arquette's character in True Romance?
Oh, that's fascinating. I mean, they're so similar. And
so sweet, good intentioned. Patricia Arquette's maybe a bit more bubbly, but they're so innocent.
That's a great point. And Jennifer Jason Leigh, what I love about the performance is it's unlike a lot of things she did in that period. She's a brilliant actor, there's no question, but a lot of her work is very technical. Something like Hudsucker Proxy, where she's just completely different, and it's very, very mannered, intentionally so. This is a very different, warmer, just very sweet, real human performance. If she's not good in the movie, you don't like Junior, you don't want to be around him, you don't believe any of this because he's such a jerk towards her so often. And also, it doesn't work if Alec Baldwin isn't on fire. And this is my favorite Alec Baldwin performance. I don't think he ever did anything quite this good. And I think he's a great actor. I love 30 Rock. I love a lot of his supporting work over the years. But you see in this movie the potential for something much bigger from him. He totally seems, agree. Yeah, you're getting Brando and Mickey Rourke, but like funnier and weirder and
edgier. Just so he's so surprising and unpredictable in this role. This and Prelude to a Kiss for me are his. I know Bill hates that movie, but I think they are his best performances. And
there you compare the two.
I like Prelude a lot too. Yeah,
I worked at a video store, and that was the only movie that was never rented. And people would rent it and be like, "What the fuck is this, man?"
Because it's an old man thing. It's so. I'm going to do that movie on this show, or Will come back and do it, but that has to be done too.
Love it.
What about Glenn Ross, guys?
Piece of junk.
Okay, that is definitely in the Alec Baldwin top tier pantheon. That's when it seemed like he was going to become Robert De Niro or Al Pacino or something else.
And it never happened.
Yeah, it never really happened. He does all these star vehicles. And just to back up for a second, I think this is one of the greatest star-making performances in cinema history. This guy comes out, I was reading the history, and there was originally it was Gene Hackman was the Fred Ward character.
Oh,
And,
well,
and Gene Hackman was attached to Silence of the Lambs, to direct Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
But he got addicted to pain pills. And,
what?
and so he was giving notes to Ted Talley, the writer, and he wanted him to write have Clarice written in the clouds and stuff like that. And
Gene Hackman was going to direct it?
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh my God.
Or star in it.
Both.
He was going to direct. He was going to direct Silence of the Lambs too. Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Small world. Yeah, because he was connected to Orion. So.
Okay.
Wow.
And I guess Fred Ward was going to play Junior, which would have been interesting. I mean, Fred Ward's a great actor.
Yeah. They thought that Alec Baldwin was too funny. I think the director was like, he's too funny. So when he got his just desserts at the end, people were upset. I think that's the problem with the movie.
Right.
They love him, yeah, because he's he's such a jerk in the movie, but he's really funny.
And everyone feels so bad for her too. Like it's such a sad ending because you're like, oh, no spoilers, but we're spoiling, whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, you feel so bad for her. Like she has so much hope for this relationship, and then, but she was starting to realize that he was not the best for her.
Yeah,
she's starting to realize it. You've got the early scenes where he sells her a dress.
Oh, that's
in
so
return
good.
for sex.
Yeah, she's like, oh, it's so nice. He's like, yeah, how much do you want to buy it? It's like so good. It's so good.
So great. You've got all the cooking stuff. He eats everything she makes for him, and he's happy about it. She mentions this at the very end, right? Including the vinegar pie, which looks so horrifying.
Yeah, and he reacts to it. He's like, ugh. And she says, yeah, she's like, he never hit me, and he always ate what I gave him. Like, it just tells you so much about her history and how horrible her history before was.
Right. And then, and stuff with the eyebrow, all of that stuff is just amazing and so messed up. Yeah. And I love all the interactions there where, both of them. Watching it again, I realized remember that she starts to pass out from the blood and the sewing, but actually both of them are. And they've got to enlist the landlady to do the sewing. And it's like, this has got to be in a hospital. This would be like a 15-stitch job.
Yeah, there's like
one.
one.
Maybe like two, one maybe.
And then when he gets his fingers cut off, and then he like puts them into his pocket.
He's like, we're thinking of doing a stake out here.
So good. It is.
Baldwin is so funny. Yeah.
Great pick. So ahead of its time.
And what a great decade for George Armitage, the writer-director. He also did Gross Point Blank afterwards.
That's right. That's right.
Did he do The Truth About Cats and Dogs or something?
No, he did the big, not the Big Bang, maybe the Big Easy, that Hawaiian movie in the 2000s. But that was very glossy. With Sarah Foster, Owen Wilson. All right.
Okay, I know Owen Wilson. Okay.
Anyways, yeah, I mean, to make two of the best movies of the 90s, that's what a decade for him.
Yeah.
And he wrote the first draft of The Late Shift also.
Cool.
That Betty Thomas movie about
Right.
There's so much great dialogue in this. I'm trying to take any more notes. I just wrote a bunch of dialogue, but I'm not going to read that to you because you can see the movie. But yeah, Leigh is just so sweet and so grounded and so good. Everyone's so good in this movie, and it's so sharp and so surprising.
And Fred Ward, he's one thing I really like of the movie is that the cops are utterly useless, for the whole movie until Fred Ward kind of gets his groove. But only after it goes through a horrible, horrible experience. But I love when I think it's Paul Gleason, the vice principal from the Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah.
He comes in, he's wearing this really fancy white suit. He's clearly just loaded with money. He's also a cop, but he's a very different kind of cop. And I love that, no one is able to catch Junior, not because Junior is some brilliant criminal, because the cops just aren't really competent at all. And, the only really redeeming feature about Fred Ward's character, Mosley, is that he's actually not corrupt. He's actually kind of trying to be a good cop. And that's the only reason he's able to catch Junior is because he's not, shaking people down for money and being a totally corrupt criminal like the Paul Gleason character shows up in those. So I like that little twist in it.
Did you think when Paul Gleason was on the screen, he went like that? Do you think that was a nod to the Breakfast Club? I was like,
maybe,
that thing?
Maybe.
Catch that.
It's so crazy.
He was a little Breakfast Clubby, yeah.
I think he was. I think he was doing his signature hand thing.
That's the scene when Fred Ward's over for dinner, like you showed the photo of earlier, and Alec Baldwin's behind him with that big silver gun pointing it right at the back of his head, pretending to shoot him. It's so good. And then the haiku scene where they're trying to come up with a haiku, and then it's so
it's
brilliant.
So crazy. And I'd forgotten until I rewatched it that whole haiku scene. So she's taking a bath. He just leaves the apartment, is writing haikus in his head, and robs her neighbor, and then comes back with the pork chops and the gun and the coins,
and narrating what he's doing through haiku. I'm stealing the gun. I can't do haiku. But
there's some funny time stuff I realized this time also. Like if you realize when Fred Ward comes over for dinner, that he says, "Were you at the airport today?" So that means that Junior has flown a plane, killed a Hare Krishna, met Jennifer Jason Leigh, fell in love, robs at the mall, beats up another pickpocket, and then has lunch with Jennifer Jason Leigh. Then he does some more criming. Then they go back. Then they hook up at her house again, and then he robs her neighbor, and then Fred Ward comes over. Like 9 different crazy things happen in one day, if we're to believe it. Which
makes me feel so lazy. Yeah, no. It's great.
Junior is active. Yeah,
he is until the end.
End.
Spoiler, Ian. Woo.
Anything else that we want to discuss about this film, or should we move on?
Let's move on to your movie.
Let's do it.
What movie did I do? I did 1973's Electra Glide in Blue, directed by, I don't know his name because he only directed one movie, and his name is James William Guercio or Guercio. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm messing up this guy's name. But he
was the manager of Chicago.
And did you realize
Peter Cetera was in the movie?
Did you recognize him in the movie? I just learned that today, even though I've seen this movie a few times.
Yes.
I read that and I could not believe it. I was like, no way.
He was the top suspect on the motorcycle. So this movie, I'm going to just go a little about it. I'll tell you. It's about a motorcycle cop in Arizona who wants nothing more than to be promoted to detective. And then when he comes across a scene in which he thinks could be a murder, he sees it as his opportunity to finally get that promotion. And with all the good intentions that he has, things don't really seem to go his way. So that's the general story. I think first thing about this movie that you notice is the amazing cinematography by Conrad Hall, who did films like In Cold Blood and American Beauty, and for Joe, Tequila Sunrise, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and his last movie was The Road to Perdition. So this movie is stunning to look at. And then the second thing you notice is Robert Blake. We know how his life ended in not the most charming way, but he is so charming and likable and self-deprecating and just so good in this role. He's so good. And all the other supporting characters, just the 3 others, his partner, the head detective, and also his girlfriend, they all are so excellent. They each have their moment to really shine in this film too. Having watched this again for this, I realized how much I actually love this movie. First time, I'm sorry to rant on, but first time I saw anything for this film was I saw the end maybe when I was 12 or something on TV, and just the end. I didn't know what this movie was, but it was seared into my memory, that ending, which is for me pretty stunning. And for years, I'm like, what was that movie? And I think maybe around the time Ask Jeeves or Google came around, I was able to find, like, say, motorcycle movie where something pretty stunning happens. I won't say it. And I got the title. I'm like, Electra Glide in Blue. But then I couldn't find the movie anywhere. And then one day I was in a Best Buy, and in the cheapo bin, I found this.
Whoa.
And I watched it.
Go off. Yeah.
And I really dug the whole movie. And this time I realized it is one of my favorites. I love this movie. What'd you guys think?
Will, you go first.
Thank you. I really love this movie. I've never seen it before until Bill said that this would be on the podcast. I've seen Robert Blake in Lost Highway. I've never seen In Cold Blood. But but I thought he was fantastic. It's such a good performance, and you know, his personal history is so saturated, the memory of Robert Blake, that you know, it was like I can't really recommend this to some people, but it is but it is such a good movie. And his performance is, like you said, self-deprecating. It's very thoughtful. Also, he's very sensitive. I love all the interactions with the, you know, the hippies and the countercultural stuff, the background of Vietnam. I love when he's, you know, the guy who he pulls over is like, "Oh, were you in Nam?" He's like, "Yeah." You know, basically like, what does that make us buddies? Like, you know.
Yeah, I think that's the message of the movie, that scene. Sort of like, you know, don't expect favors. You know, it's that this is life.
And what he says something like, here's a favor, like stop expecting favors just because you were in the war, which is really, and then I love that his detective who he works for that period is the bad guy from Lethal Weapon. I realized.
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
He's not Gary Busey. He's like Gary Busey's boss.
Mitchell Ryan.
Yes.
Yo, I didn't remember him. Okay, that's when he looks
great.
Okay.
Yeah. And like you said, the ending is incredibly powerful.
So sad. Oh,
you know,
that's what was seared in my brain for years before I knew what this movie was.
Spoiler alert, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Whatever.
It's okay. It's all right. We always. It's okay.
And I feel like a little bit of a nod, and maybe I'm just reaching in a good way, not a rip up, but like to Easy Rider or something.
Do you like the scene where he's like shooting the poster of Easy Rider in the shooting range?
Right.
And I was thinking, is it anti-hippie? No, because it ends up like the cops are they're dirty, and he's the only good one. And ultimately, the hippies aren't great either. It's just
right. It kind of curses both sides of it, which I think is great. But I really like this movie, so thank you for choosing it, because I never would have seen it.
Thank you for watching. Bill, what'd you think?
I was a little worried because it was an Ian pick. I was expecting the worst. It takes a lot for me to watch a movie I've never watched before. You've stumped me there.
That's 2 in a row. I think. All right.
I'd never even heard of this movie. It is one of the most best looking movies I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe it. It's like it's like a really good version of a Robert Altman movie. It's like absolutely stunning. It's engaging. It's the production design is amazing. I guess the director wanted like a Vista. The director said had control over the way it looked outside with the Vista like picturesque shots, but inside Conrad Hall could do whatever he wanted. That being said, it's awesome. I can't recommend it enough. I should note that I did see a documentary. I lived for 11 years about 5 blocks away from Vitello's, where the murders happened.
Oh yeah.
And I did see a documentary that convinced me that maybe he didn't do it.
I saw that documentary too. I remember the helicopters that night when they arrested him. That was
wow. And so I know it's a controversial opinion.
He was acquitted. You know. Well, what's funny is how 2 of these movies star people who have been indicted for murder and acquitted.
Well, I think we can still enjoy Naked Gun knowing O.J. Simpson's in it, but
well, he did do that.
Yeah, true.
Robert Blake was he's considered one of the worst SNL hosts next to Steven Seagal. Like he was just, he's a nutty guy, and stuff like that. You know, bad aura around him, stuff like that. But to see him in such a likable role, that's acting. He's also really good in The Money Train, that will be an Ejectable. I love that movie.
Oh yeah,
I've seen The Money Train.
Maybe he was decent when he made this movie, and there was a change. Maybe I guess he got offered Beretta after doing this movie. Maybe that jaded him. He was still,
And there's also, if you go on YouTube, there's a horrible clip of him making fun of Orson Welles on the Tonight Show of his weight. It's really funny as well.
I've seen some clip of him where he was kind of giving this very bitter interview, and he said, when I was starring in movies, Al Pacino was starring in movies, Robert De Niro was starring in movies. He's just running down the list of film legends, trying to kind of put himself in that category. But he's also pointing out and then I didn't have that career. And so there's some anger there for sure. But he's a great actor. I was blown away.
I mean, what else has he done besides this, starring in, besides in Cold Blood? Like,
not much.
I can't pinpoint except for that.
I think Beretta brought him to TV, and remember TV and film, people didn't really do both. It's not the same as it is now. Maybe that undid his. And this movie didn't do well. No one knows this movie, so maybe that's it. See this movie.
Me. What a great pick, Ian.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That ending. How about that ending, though? You texted me. You're like, "Oh my god, that ending!
Unbelievable!" And I can't imagine seeing on the big screen as well.
Oh yeah.
And I love the guy who plays his partner. He's
so good.
Yeah, it's so sad. You can see Blake just like trying to be friends with him, but he's also just annoying him, and Blake sees his future. Is like, this is my life. Just sitting with this guy day after day out in the desert. It's great. And
his big scene, that actor's name is Billy Greenbush. I guess he's gone on to do a lot of work. I love that they reveal so much in that one near end scene with him, where we didn't really know what was going on, but it's all revealed there pretty subtly, I think, and it's just a powerful scene. So many great, powerful scenes. The girlfriend in the bar, and that awkward thing with the other detective where she's both of their girlfriends, and that undoes his whole detective stint. So good.
Right.
It's Arizona, man.
Yeah.
Career-ending bar scene. Yeah.
It makes you not want to ever go to Arizona. That's all I know.
It's pretty to look at. Thank you, Conrad Hall.
Yes, it's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Which is funny because I imagine Conrad Hall is not that pretty to look at anymore. Sorry, too soon.
Too soon. Another 10 years you can do that joke.
Okay, Bill. Actually, before you go into your movie, can you talk about this other movie you had a couple of guests on a couple of weeks ago?
Yes.
Movie that's released.
So there's a movie called Good Side of Bad. It's on Amazon and Apple TV. You can rent it. You can buy it. I highly recommend it. I had a small part of it. It's a family drama, if you like that sort of thing, and just in time for in the new year.
I just watched the trailer. It looks really good. I've got to see it.
Yeah, they did. They did a really great.
Good Side of Bad, right?
Yep, the Good Side of Bad. Awesome. So my pick.
Yeah, Bill. What is that?
My pick now. Okay.
What is it, Bill?
Okay. It's hold on a sec. Okay. Not only is this an injectable,
the Emoji Movie.
Not only do I think this is one of the best movies of the 90s.
Wow.
I think this is one of the top 10 for Bill.
Yeah,
myself. It's very controversial.
Huh.
Get ready. It's the Pallbearer. Now, the poster's terrible.
Yeah, it is.
The poster's terrible. The commercials were terrible with the two princes spin doctors. It's tough to see Harvey Weinstein right before it. But I knew someone that worked on, I think, Alias, and I had Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams. I had the poster for the Pallbearer, the horrible poster, and I asked them to sign it, and they were like, "Really, dude?" I've lost that poster because my friends made fun of it because they said I would never have a date over with that Pallbearer poster or something.
Oh no,
because it's so dorky and ridiculous. But this to me is one of my favorite movies of all time. Wow. It stars David Schwimmer, and he is a hapless guy in Brooklyn. What part of Brooklyn is this filmed in? Well, it's beautiful. Oh, I love it. I think it's like Park Slope or something, you know?
Probably. Yeah.
Oh,
Windsor Terrace, Park Slope.
Oh, I love the production design, and he's a hapless guy. He's kind of lost in life. All his friends have moved on. He is 1 year out of college, and he's aimless. He lives with his crazy mom in Brooklyn. When all of a sudden he gets a call that his best friend died, and will he go to the funeral? But however, he realizes that he doesn't really know the guy, and he plays along. And he has a connection to the mom's son, who is played by Barbara Hershey, who's absolutely amazing in this movie.
So good in this movie.
And he develops a connection to her, and they eventually have an affair. And she asks him to be the pallbearer at her son's funeral. And you think it's like, oh, that's a funny concept, but the movie is so much more. It's really a metaphor of a boy becoming a man who doesn't have a father in his life. It's one of the most beautifully shot movies I've ever seen. Gwyneth Paltrow plays David Schwimmer's obsession. She's so good in the movie. The Miramax moniker is a little upsetting to see. Think about how much destruction they have caused throughout. It's hard for me. They should just rebrand it, by the way, but whatever. But J.J. Abrams produced it. Matt Reeves and his partner wrote it before he did like Batman. With Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah, he's huge. This to me is one of the best movies ever made. Top 10 for me. I saw it at the Harvard Square Cinema at Sony, and still is one of the best experiences of my life. But can't wait for Ian not to like it.
Well, Will, what'd you think?
Well, to start, Bill, I remember your Pallbearer poster, and I remember you like
really,
yeah. I remember you seeing it and like coming back and telling the dorm like how amazing.
Not having girls over.
Yeah, Bill had girls over, by the way. He was doing well. So I'd never seen it. I didn't see it then. I didn't even watch like Friends. I know nothing about. Yeah. The only David Schwimmer contact I've had is I think he was in Band of Brothers. What? Sorry again?
In Madagascar. Come on.
He's in Madagascar.
Yeah.
I do have a little girl. I should have picked that up.
He's a giraffe, right?
He's a giraffe? Yeah. He must be a giraffe.
Yeah.
He's in Band of Brothers. He's good in that, but he's playing like kind of just a big jerk. He's in the OJ movie or series. He's really good in that. Yeah. But I'd never really seen him in anything like this. And it was an unsettling performance because every scene he looks like he's about to commit suicide. And it's so dark.
That's what my girlfriend said. It's awkward and dark.
And having not seen Friends, I asked my wife the other night, I'm like, you saw Friends. Is that how David Schwimmer's character was in Friends? Like just on the verge of the, of death or the ledge at any moment? And she was like, well, it's just that face, but I thought he gave a great performance. It is depressing. It is also, it's compelling. You've also got, I like his friends, Michael, you got Michael Rappaport. Yeah. The other guy who's very pretty, but I can't place
Michael Vartan
from Alias, right?
Yeah,
that's right. But my favorite part of the movie is Barbara Hershey. I thought she was amazing. It was an incredible performance. I've seen her do so many different things, and this might be possibly my favorite Barbara Hershey performance, just because it's so difficult to pull off. And it's, there's shades of The Graduate and other things going on here.
And Baby Girl.
Yes, and she makes it work. And absolutely. So she was my favorite part of it.
Mine was the bunk bed. That was my favorite part.
There's so many funny 90s things going on in this too. Like, I'll try not to spoil anything, but there's a moment when he answers the phone in the bunk bed at the crucial moment.
That's a great scene.
And that's like, I think that only would have happened in the mid 90s because you were just desperate to answer your landline.
And his mom's picking up the other end of the line.
Right. No one would do that now, but you would have done it then, even in the most important moment of your life, perhaps,
When we all shared a line that's so awkward.
Yeah. But it was compelling. I like this movie, but it did depress me a little bit.
Bill?
Ian?
I didn't hate it.
Whoa.
I don't even know because it came out in a time when I saw everything at the movies, everything. But I think because of the poster and my lack of love for kind of broad comedy.
The commercial was like to two princesses. Like it was. Yeah. It's like, Gwyneth, David, they're dating.
It just looked like broad romantic comedy from the poster and the ad that I don't think I actually saw it. And I like that the premise is somewhat dark. It's got a dark humor edge to it. And the movie's much more grounded and sweeter. It's slight. I think it's a slight movie, which is not that's not a burn.
Lights, dude.
It's sweet. Okay, a sweet movie. It's a sweet movie. I didn't dislike it. And yeah, and I thought Barbara Hershey was great. I liked Schwimmer. I thought Gwyneth Paltrow was at her peak, you know, around the time of Seven and everything. I thought it was just it's a charming movie. I don't know. Maybe it got panned because people thought it was maybe had too much of a dark edge. It wasn't that cute, bubbly, romantic comedy they promised in the trailer and the poster, which I'm glad it's not. I think it's worth a look.
Would you see Breaking Away's slight?
I've never seen Breaking Away.
Oh my God! All right.
Yeah, I mean, you were born like 20 years before me, so
40 years, Ian.
Yeah, 40 years before.
You never saw Breaking Away.
No, I didn't. It's a bike racing movie.
One of the best movies ever.
I know.
That next week.
Robert Town. Is that Robert Town?
No, it's Peter Yates, but it's the
same thing.
You never saw Breaking Away.
No, it was like
Orson Welles.
I saw that movie with Orson Welles on HBO about Nostradamus. That was terrifying as a kid. You ever see that? It was like
yes. That's why Eddie Murphy wouldn't do reshoots for Coming to America.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, it's like crazy. How do you know that?
I just read with the Eddie Murphy thing.
Yeah, how do you know that?
I think it was on a documentary. It was one of those Netflix documentaries about making movies. That's how I know that.
Yeah.
But that documentary though scared the heck out of me as a kid.
It's like in 1985, Los Angeles. Well, I mean, now it's happening, but you know, he waited.
Yeah, true. Actually, we should do a shout out to all of our friends and loved ones in LA. This is going to air. Well, they're not going to be out of the woods for a long time, but yeah, much love to our friends in LA.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh man,
23 years there. It's awful.
Yeah,
it is terrible. But more importantly, let's talk about Will. You have to pick a movie that's not your own. What movie do you pick?
It's gonna be Electric Light and Blue.
Okay.
It was just so fun to get a surprise like that, you know.
Yeah. And especially for Ian pick, which is notoriously terrible.
Wait, but last week's was good too, I think, right? Oh yeah, that was not quite the same kind of good. Kiss of the Dragon, but
that was a good movie. Yeah,
yeah, surprisingly, yeah. Should I do my pick?
Yep.
My pick, because I've loved it forever and ever, is Miami Blues. Ooh. And no offense, Pallbearer is definitely a good pick.
It's slight, it's slight.
No, I should say sweet. It is a sweet little movie with big stars. No, but Miami Blues is just so fresh and original and ahead of its time.
And I'm gonna pick Miami Blues. So Will gets the Prince Employee of the Month Akeem for outstanding performance and effort.
That's a major honor, so you should feel good.
This is the best thing that's happened to me all year.
Oh,
so, thank you.
Yay! I hope it stays that way.
Yeah. This trend.
Thank you for joining us. It's been really great.
Awesome episode, dude. Stick around.
Thank you, guys.
Credits, Will, and then we'll end up. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah. So if you could, comment, follow our page, tell your friends, and comment below maybe what movie you would have chosen as your favorite of the week, and maybe mention a movie you want mentioned on the show, and maybe you could be a guest someday. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Pop the popcorn, grab a Coke, and find that old VHS. We're diving deep in cheesy flicks. Yeah, we're on a vintage quest. Low reviews but high on laughs. Let's give these films a cheer. The cult classics, flops, and nuts. There are topics this year. We're the Ejectables.